at Capital Recovery Center, and you'll see we had fun here.
Why not? Why not?
And I'm Karen.
All right.
All right.
And so, what we got today, Mike?
We're gonna go over, keep going over this relapse prevention group handout, which was provided. It's a matrix model. It's by HAZELDEN, and we're going to keep going through this workbook, and we're going to go over these particular topics: total abstinence, relapse prevention, and possibly we might end up with trust. Total abstinence, relapse prevention, and trust.
All right. Before we do all that, we got a little house cleaning rules we'd like to do. So, hello everyone. Once again, welcome to our all recovery meeting. I told you my name. We all introduced ourselves. I'm Craig. That's Mike, and that is Karen. An all recovery meeting welcomes all who struggle with addiction, are affected by addiction, and or support the recovery lifestyle. All right. An all recovery meeting is non-denominational, meaning all pathways of recovery are embraced here. Today, I would choose a universal recovery topic, and then we will discuss it specifically. An all recovery meeting is not affiliated with any anonymous program, although we are likely to hear comments associated with 12-step fellowships. All right. Coming from a place of mutual respect and understanding, let's observe some basic meeting agreements. Number one, if you attend, we just ask everyone to please respect the opinions and remarks of others. Please no cross-talking. Only one person speaks at a time. Number three, please turn your cell phones off or place them on vibrate. Number four, please refrain from the overuse of profanity in order not to offend others. Are there any other announcements?
One, we don't forget about coffee and conversation every morning at 10 a.m. Get your cup of coffee, bring your conversation, and come join us. And every Tuesday at 10 a.m. online.
Absolutely.
Also, go ahead. You want to do?
Yes, Recovery on Wheels is going to be out next Wednesday, February 10th at the Mini Park across from City Liquor in Millville from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m.
Cool.
Good. All right. Let's begin to introduce ourselves if we did that already. Now, let's have a moment of silence to remember why we are here. Thank you. This is a topic discussion meeting, and the topic we have chosen:
total abstinence, relapse prevention, and trust.
All right, you may share on this topic or not. However, we do appreciate if anyone would like to share. Please feel free.
Come on and join us. We can share with you, and you can share with us. So let's start. Y'all ready?
That's right.
Let's roll. Total abstinence. Total abstinence. Have you ever found yourself saying any of these following? Having a beer or glass of wine is not really drinking. I only drink when I choose to. My drinking is not out of control. I don't really care about alcohol. I only drink to be sociable. And my problem is my drug use. Alcohol or pot is not a problem for me. Wow, that's something right
How often do we hear that?
How often do we hear that? If you entered the program to stop using specific drugs, you may have wondered why you were asked to sign an agreement stating your willingness to also stop using other drugs and alcohol. There are many reasons total abstinence is a necessary goal for recovering people. A few of them are the following. Follow-up studies showed that the stimulant users are 8 times more likely to relapse if they continue using alcohol, and 3 times more likely to relapse if they use marijuana. You can greatly reduce your chances of relapse by maintaining total abstinence. One time we taught, or we will teach on it often, and we talk about multiple pathways to recovery. And when you think about what pathway you chose, I think, to me, universally, abstinence works for me best. is because I associate all the other things as a gateway to the things that I actually enjoy doing. And what I mean by that is, me personally, I didn't have a problem with alcohol ever. I never had a problem with alcohol. Have I drunk alcohol in my life? Yes, I did. But I did not have a problem with alcohol. However, I did have problem with heroin and crack cocaine. So to me, to do alcohol, even now, to this day, will be like something that will trigger me to go do what I used to like doing. So me, total abstinence works best for me. So you have to figure out what particular pathway you're going to choose, because everything is different for other individuals. However, I do not suggest or recommend any type of thing that says, okay, if I stop this, I can do marijuana. If I stop this, I can do alcohol. I do not suggest you do that at all.
Right. And I also agree with Mike, and that analogy is so true, because just like we read earlier, when you hear people say, well, I smoke pot or I smoke marijuana and drink alcohol, I do not have a problem. Now we know that nowadays it is becoming more legal. However, for those who are indulging those behaviors that where it become uncontrollable or your behavior get out of line, then you need to seek someone for help.
And also, just because something legal don't mean it's useful to you. How many people are incarcerated for alcohol-related offense because of something? Alcohol is actually legal, but how many people are incarcerated or have hurt somebody or hurt themselves due to something that's legal? So don't just think because something is legal, it's beneficial to you. That's not necessarily true. Places and peoples associated with drinking are often the very places, the people that are triggers for your drug use. When you're learning to handle problems without resorting to drugs or alcohol use, using another drug or alcohol to numb the uncomfortable learning process blocks your chances to practice coping with the runaway. Listen, when it says problems without resorting to drug use, what most individuals, I'm going to say a high number of individuals who start experimenting with substance use, any type of substance use, they probably had some type of problem going on before you got out of the experimental ages 16 through 21. After you cross over that and you're not experimenting no more, a lot of times are taking it to help handle some type of problem you may be having. But you have to learn how to dealing with your problem without taking some type of substance. And that comes from developing coping skills.
And that can be also a stressful day, or you may encounter a negative individual or person or situation whereas you feel as though, I need something to relieve me of all this tension or frustration. No. As Mike was saying, coping tools.
Coping tools. What coping skills you have, what relapse prevention tools you have, these are things that need to be, I have learned that a lot of individuals have those coping skills necessary to live a lifestyle free from any substance use or alcohol use. I think that they lack the ability to apply them, how to activate them, so to speak. And when you don't know how to activate something that you are already in the possession of, you resort back to whatever comes easy, and that's using some type of drug or alcohol. So thinking about total abstinence is something that you need to truly consider. If you relapse, or we're going to talk about that, but if you have relapsed at this particular time you see us talking about it, then you just have to take the opportunity to get into a program, contact resources like ours to help you get into these facilities and start all over again. If you can hear me, then you have a great opportunity to start over. Now let's see. Go to the bottom. It says, remember, you are committing to be totally drug and alcohol free only while you are in treatment. If it's more difficult than you expected, maybe you are more dependent than you thought. When you commit to being abstinent in treatment, first step, our other part of this particular agency, it's an abstinence-based program. It's an abstinence-based program. So when you come there and you fill out your information for your intake packet or orientation packet and all of that, it's letting you know that you're signing up to an abstinence-based program. So what we want to try to get you to do, even though we're not a treatment facility, after you leave facilities that you probably were in, we want to try to help coach you across many different obstacles that you will face once you leave the treatment facilities. All right, Mr. Craig Daniel, who want to go?
All right, Ron. I don't want to hog up all of the reading material today. I want to pass the baton over to
All right, Miss Karen.
to our young person over there.
Page 25.
Is that it? Yep, that's right. Page 25. If you want to, if not, I can.
It says, why is relapse prevention important? Recovery is more than not using drugs and alcohol. The first step in treatment is stopping drug and alcohol use. The next step is not starting again. This is very important, and the process for doing it is called relapse prevention. What is relapse? Relapse is going back to drug or alcohol use and to all the behaviors and patterns that go with that. Often the behaviors and patterns return before the actual drug or alcohol use. Learning to recognize the beginning of a relapse can help the recovering person stop the process before actual use begins.
Now, let's deal with that a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
The initial part of relapse prevention, and that is part of what we call the 5 stages of change. And that is pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Now, when someone who's actually in their pre-contemplation stage, that is the initial stage of what we call, that we would work on preventing them from going any further. And so here at Capital Recovery Center, we would sit down, we would try to find out a strategy to find out what can we do to prevent you moving any further.
Yeah, how can we help you to move forward?
Right.
And what she just read right here, where it says that relapse is going back to the drug or use, the behaviors and the patterns that you used to do. Often the behaviors and the patterns, this is what she has read. It says often your behaviors and your patterns happens way before you actually pick up the substance. So if you see yourself starting to lie to people about stuff for no reason, see yourself, conducting unbecoming behavior, then you know these are some of the patterns that are associated with your previous drug use. So learning to recognize the beginning of the relapse. No one just relapse. Before you relapse, you have a thing going on in your head. Once you have that thing going on that's happening in your head, if you don't talk to a sponsor, spiritual advisor, counselor, recovery coach, whomever, if you don't talk to them, whatever you have going on in your head, you will start putting words to what you're thinking. Once you start saying it, saying this, and I call that compromising. Once you start saying it, the next thing you do is you carry out the action. It's a thought process. You start talking about it, or you start talking opposite to how you should be talking. Then after you start speaking it, now you start to manifest, if you will, or carry out the actions that all started in your head. So once you learn how to recognize that, when you learn how, I gotta be honest with you, I did not ace the test when it first came. I failed miserably. I'm telling you now because I learned from my mentors and my sponsors, my spiritual advisors, and also from my own errors. I learned that, hold on, before I relapsed, I was thinking this. Then after I thought something, I said this. After I start talking this, I did this. So that's the same type of pattern that will happen all the time. But you have to try to learn how to recognize that. You recognize that, and again, if you have relapsed recently, get back up, start to learn how to recognize the relapse process and how it came about. It did not come out, you just jump out there and use some type of substance and stuff. If you start talking about, let's say last week, everything you were saying was all in the field of recovery. Everything you were saying was something that your spiritual belief around that. Then the next week, you don't want to hear none of that. You don't want to hear nothing about recovery. You don't want to hear nothing about your spiritual belief. You don't want to hear nothing positive. You have to learn that that's the process of a relapse right there. Because why now? You went from all the way wanting to be a recovery gangster, so to speak, to nothing. Why did that happen? That's a trend. That's a thing that you have to pay attention to. It's the process of you going down a relapse.
And let's be real. Let's be honest. Relapsing is not they call a recovery version. There's no recovery version.
Yeah.
We all, me myself, let me keep the focus on myself. I relapse as well, and so I know what it is to relapse. I try to do it on my own. I did it. I relapsed when associate of mine came around, and he had something that I know I shouldn't have been doing, but I indulged anyway. However, until I went through some type of treatment, then I was able to refocus or regroup. And so don't look at relapse as a total failure.
Yeah.
Never do that.
Never do that, because it's all, again, I always tell my friends all the time, some of my friends, when they see me with my life, for people who don't know, I have 13 years, going on 13 years of sobriety. But what I tell my friends or the people that I mentor, and I always tell them, listen, I did not ace the test. You're not going to ace it. But thank God you're alive to even take the test. The only thing that I say is different is that I kept trying. So no matter who you are, if you relapse, and we're talking about relapse prevention, thank God that you have the opportunity to start over. That's number one. And also, this is something you must get down inside your head. Cherish the opportunity that you have to start over. Cherish the opportunity, and the reason why it's very important is because everybody is not getting another opportunity to come back from any type of relapse. So that's why we're talking about relapse prevention, because a lot of people are losing their lives because they're trying one more time.
And what's the benefit of a family member who doesn't ever use drugs, but have a family member that may have tried alcohol and relapse? What's the benefit of regaining their family? Maybe Karen can share with that.
Regaining their family?
Yeah, getting family back in order, getting their life back.
Well, it's not only just rewarding for the person who is trying to recover from the substance abuse. It's also rewarding for the family member.
Absolutely.
I think that just as much as the process of recovery for a person with substance abuse, I feel that a family member or loved ones are also going through the recovery process along with the person. Maybe emotionally, or because I know I am. Like as we read this and as we speak about it, I'm like, it makes me rethink what I was thinking and rethink what I was doing, and it's a recovery process for myself.
So we're here to encourage one another. So listen, if you relapse, we have to think about a whole lot of spectrum.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of shame. However, that doesn't mean for a person to hold his head down. You have to think beyond yourself, because a lot of times, while we're doing what we do, we can be selfish. But in recovery, we have to be selfish sometimes as well.
To build up that type of stability or strength that you need to succeed, to prevent more relapse from happening. It's everything I always say about the whichever one you feed the most. If you feed in negative, do not be surprised if the fruit is negative. If you're feeding positive, the fruit is going to be positive. It's just, a seed produces after its own kind. So whatever you feed yourself, that's what's going to produce. In the process of the relapse, seek out some more treatment. If you did relapse, first seek out some type of treatment. You can call us 856-391-7449. That was a good plug right there. But y'all can call us.
What's the other number?
1-800-236-2448.
And that is our Cumberland Cares
number.
number. And we have our phones on us 24 hours, 7 days a week.
You need treatment.
Reach out to us. That's what we're here. We are recovery coaches, and we're here to assist.
Assist you in your path of recovery and help you build your recovery capital.
What's our motto here?
How can we help you with your recovery today?
All right. You want to move on, Ken?
Let's move.
It says, what are addictive behaviors? The things people do as part of drug or alcohol use are called addictive behaviors. Often these are things the addicted person does to get drugs or alcohol, to cover up drinking or using, or as part of the use. Lying, stealing, being unreliable, and acting compulsively are types of addictive behaviors.
Wow. That's heavy right there.
Those some strong behaviors.
When you start, I told you, remember the behaviors happen before you pick up the substance. If you find yourself carrying out some of these characteristics, and just understand these are the behaviors. These are the things I call a setup. These are the things that I will start doing in my own personal life when I was getting unemployment, and I knew the week that the unemployment was coming, I would start arguments 2 days before. And that was because I would start lying and doing all that. Why? I was set to tell you to pay attention to the behaviors before you pick up any type of substance.
And for those who are in recovery and who knows about distorted thinking and manipulation, might hit dead on the nail. We often used to do that, or we do that because, hey, let's face it. Our addiction has us doing things that we normally wouldn't do when we're in our right state of mind.
At all.
So, just want to share that little tidbit with you people out there. Is there anyone on the line that would like to share? All right.
Also, this is what we're doing is the Matrix Model Relapse Prevention Group Handouts. And inside the video link or in the comment section, I will put a link to, it's a HAZELDEN workbook. I will put a link to it so you can actually get it and use it at your own discretion whenever you want to do it, groups, personally, whatever. So I want y'all to know to get the information, because what I have for me will only help me, but what you put in you helps you.
All right, so
You
if
got
you don't
it?
mind, I can read page 26, and it states, what is addictive thinking? Good question.
Good question.
In 12-step program, these kinds of thoughts are called stinking thinking. I'm familiar with that term, and I believe Mike is familiar with it.
Stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking. That is a term, the therapeutic term, or 12-step. They are thoughts that make using or drinking seems okay. Distorted thoughts. Remember, some examples are, I can handle just one drink. If they think I'm using, I might as well. Or I have worked hard, I need a break. What might your brain say to you?
I used to hear that a lot.
What?
What's that, Karen?
If they think I'm using, I might as well. That used to make me so angry. I'm like, I
I'm not
can't use
using-
that.
And that's just a justification tactic. Thinking. Yo, you think I'm doing it? I'm going to go do it. Which really don't make sense.
Yeah, you accused me of something I didn't
Prove
do,
me right.
so I might as well do it.
Yeah, because a lot of times that's just the stinking thinking we have, saying things like that, you know. So I have worked hard, I need a break, you know what I mean? So we think, well, I worked these 2 weeks, I might as well treat myself.
Friday, tomorrow, payday, you know.
So you can't think like that. That's stinking thinking.
Yeah, so you have to train your mind most basically to substitute those type of thoughts that may have come into your head or your thinking what we call triggers or cues and replace them. Instead of saying to yourself, well, I work hard, I need a break, I'm going to grab me a drink, or alcoholic beverage, do like Mike does. He go get him a smoothie. A non-alcoholic smoothie, you know, and treat himself. And so we advise positive thinking here. All right?
Yeah, you have to replace. If you don't, I often teach people you have to feed your brain new information. If you don't feed your brain new information, I don't care where you glean this information from. Me personally, I build my spiritual foundation and I feed my brain new information, and everything else comes off of my spiritual foundation. However, you have to find something to feed your brain new information. Why am I saying that? Good question. I'm glad you asked. The reason why I'm saying it is because if you don't feed your brain new information, your brain will operate off its old system. It has nothing else but to go off of your old system. It constantly moves and does what it's supposed to do as our brain, but you have to feed it new information. If you do not feed it new information, it will simply just keep running on its old system that you have going on.
So if a thing is not growing, then it must be decaying.
Yeah.
And so always remember to try to not stay stagnated in your thinking process. What is emotional buildup?
See what we got.
Feelings that don't seem to go away and just keep getting stronger cause emotional buildup. Sometimes the feeling seems unbearable. The kinds of feelings that can build are boredom, anxiety, sexual frustration, irritability, and depression. Are any of these familiar to you now, or were they in the past? Explain why.
These kinds of feelings can build up or boredom. Whenever you find yourself bored,
that's a big one.
Reach out to someone.
That's a big one.
That is like a very big trigger when you get bored. Notice, it's funny. This is funny, but if you have ever struggled with any type of substance use disorder or alcohol or whatever, we were never bored when I was getting high. When I was doing drugs or whatever, committing crime, I never ever said, I'm bored. But when you get away from it, boredom becomes a trigger. Because you're sitting there, you don't have the same things that you used to do. You just have to find a new lifestyle. You have to create some things that you like to do.
Get your creative juices flowing. Get some new friends.
Definitely get new friends.
Right? Get some new environment.
Yeah.
Talk to someone. Well, we're going to cover some of them things that they suggest. The important step is to take action as soon as you recognize the dangerous signs. All right? And one of the things that you should do, you should call a therapist.
Call them. Reach out to them.
Why not? Call the Capital Recovery Center.
Call us.
Why not? Call a 12-step friend.
That's a new one.
Going to a 12-step or other outside supporting meeting.
More than 12 steps. There's so many meetings out there. I don't like 12 steps. Okay, that's cool. That's not for you. Mm-hmm. There are a host of other recovery supportive type of meetings.
Mm-hmm. Narcotics Anonymous, Al-Anon, and what else? There's a whole bunch of them. Take a vacation. Begin to exercise.
We talked about that yesterday. Exercise.
Right?
Oh, we talked about that Tuesday. There you go. Boy, that brain still works.
So
you see?
If
you see
you
that?
logged on Coffee and Conversation, you would have seen us talking about exercise. Talk to your spouse. Use time scheduling.
Schedule your time.
Or journaling.
Journaling.
That's another good one. What Karen says she like to do something, believe what it's called, drawing or
what?
Oh yeah, drawing, reading books.
Drawing.
I like reading
some good books.
Different books you gotta read. I'm reading my new book. I just finished one book. I'm reading this book today. It's called The Ideal Team Player. What type of team you want to be? What type of team player are you? So find different things. Exercise, call your therapist, go to meeting, find your sponsor. These are all things that you can help feed your brain new information.
And if you are one of those people who like to cook, find you some new recipes.
Some new ones.
You know, find some new things that you can do around the house so when your missus come home or when the kids come home, they can smell that good aroma, flavor, and that make them happy that you're doing something that makes you happy. All right?
All right. So with that, what time is it?
1:30.
We can
All right.
go ahead. You want to do this?
You want to read that, Mike?
Yeah, I got it.
Mike.
Trust. Have drugs or alcohol affected the trust between you and the people you care about? Trust will, going back to the lifestyle you used to do, will destroy trust, especially if, family members always have high hopes when people get into recovery. And when a person relapses, it really crushes them. And it makes them lose trust in the individual. To the family members, you have to understand that the person has to go through a journey. It's a process. It's not a one-time event. For the individual who might relapse or go back to the lifestyle that they used to live previously, you have to understand that the person is losing trust because they haven't seen the consistent lifestyle change lived out on your part. So both of y'all have vital points about how you're feeling. Just find some type of situation where y'all can both sit down and discuss, I feel like this because, and you say, I feel like this because, and see where it can go. But more importantly, understand that drug use will destroy trust from the people the loved ones. And number 2, does someone not trusting you ever make you feel like using?
Wow.
Does it make you feel like using? I tell this story all the time. I had a client previously, a couple of years ago. We was doing a one-on-one session, and he was complaining. He was clean for about a year, I guess, and he was complaining that his sister doesn't trust him, or she's not trusting me like she should, and you know, he was having this sort of like a pity party, and he was like, you know, he was feel like using. And I said, well, what's the problem? Well, let's talk about why she doesn't trust you. So he says she used to let him stay with her, and one day her and her husband went out to eat, and he was actively using, and they had just brought their children a television, a 32-inch television. So him being actively using drugs, he takes the brand new TV, sells the television. Now, mind you, at this point, he is a year clean. But he still want to go use because he's mad at his sister and them not trusting him. So my counseling advice for him was, if you want her to even consider trusting you again, you need to go to Walmart and buy a 64-inch TV and take it to her. At least double the one you stole from your own children, own nieces and nephews. So I'm just saying that to say this. He has to understand, just like you might understand. If family members or your loved ones aren't trusting you, trust me, they may have a vital point why they're not trusting you. However, none of those points that they have is a reason for you using. Because if you use the drugs, it does not hurt them. It will always hurt you.
Now, this is some little advice for all my ex-offenders. You know, I'm an ex-offender, and I also was using. And so those who have used in the past prior to being incarcerated, you may come home. And then you may want your loved ones to trust you or entrust that you saying that I am clean, I'm no longer going back to that lifestyle. Listen, you may come up against a little obstacle, but you have to prove yourself to your loved ones that you are not the same person that you were prior to coming home. All right, so work on yourself. Don't get frustrated. Build up the trust with your family, and amen, everything's going to turn out all right.
That's right. Let's see. When an addictive person, a person who's struggling with substance use disorder, is using, it is very difficult for him or her to have an open, honest relationship with any other person. Things are said and done that destroys the trust and damage relationship. The drug and alcohol use becomes an important or more important to the user than other people. When drugs or alcohol use stops, the trust does not return, watch this, right away. Even though you stop using, the trust that was broken in your loved ones and your relationships, at your employment, in school, wherever, does not necessarily mean it's going to be restored right away. One or both people may want the trust back, but trust is a feeling, and people cannot make feelings happen. It takes time for feelings to change. To trust means to feel certain you can rely on someone or something. People cannot be certain because they want to be. Only time can make the difference. And recovery is a long process. Learning to trust again is part of that process. It may be one of the last changes that occur. It took my own personal development, walking out my sobriety and living an abstinent-free life. It took my wife a period of time before she actually trusted me around her pocketbook. If you ask my wife, she remembers the time when she had told me, babe, go get my pocketbook. And she said, did I just say that? And she said that's when she knew she could trust me again. So trust, it takes a long period of time for it to come back. Don't be discouraged if your families, your loved ones aren't trusting you, even if you have a few years of sobriety. It's okay. It will be one of the last things that possibly come around. Everybody in every situation is truly different. We're just talking and giving you education on trust.
It's like a healing process. If you remember falling off your bike and you scraped your arm, you had this big wound or scab, you know, that's what trust is. It's like removing each layer of hurt and pain until it heals up better with the right antidote, and that is integrity. All right? And so, anything else we'd like to add before we close?
Nope.
All right.
Let's y'all do. Let's tell them about Roe again.
Just a reminder, Roe will be out every Wednesday of this month.
Nice.
Next week they're gonna be out at Millville at the mini park across from City Liquor. That is February 10th, and beginning from 10 o'clock in the morning until 2 in the afternoon.
All right. In closing, I would like to thank you all for coming today or attending our virtual meeting. We're closing all recovery meeting with a positive affirmation about ourselves, followed by a moment of silence to remember why we're here. One of my positive affirmations is that now that I am sober and in recovery, I am eating much better and healthier.
My positive affirmation is, even if your family members don't trust you at this point, always believe and trust in yourself.
My positive affirmation is just pretty much going through the recovery process as we do these meetings.
Nice.
Nice. And so we'd like to thank everyone who watched this all recovery virtual meeting. We hope you're the best, and we're praying for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. Number one. I gotta bring my.